Good morning, Planet Earth. Today's topic is monoliths. What are they? Where did they come from? And did aliens help build them? There are different kinds of monoliths, but my personal favorite is kind with faces on them because those are more mysterious, and I really think the aliens helped build those. But today we're going to mainly be talking about a couple that were found in our solar system. There was one on the moon of Mars called Phobos. There was one on the moon of Mars called Phobos. And NASA discovered this a few years ago. But one of the first monoliths that was recorded that was found in history. Now, this is just a theory. This is not proven. But it is a theory that some apes that were starving back in the caveman days. Well, this would be before the caveman days because they say that they found the monolith and it drove them to use bones as weapons and tools so they could find other animals and hunt them and eat them so they wouldn't starve. This created modern day humans, and we just kept evolving. That is where that theory comes in, but like I said, that is just a theory. Going back to the one on the Mars moon, Phobos. Now, NASA discovered that a few years back, and in 2009, an astronaut named Buzz Aldrin saw it when he was on the moon, and he said, "Who put there?" And the real question is, who could have put it there? Because he was the second astronaut on the moon, and there's really no other way it could have got there except aliens, in my opinion. But there are two theories to how it got there other than aliens, and they are, one of them is, this is the most common one, that there was some kind of a trauma to the moon, like there was an impact and that caused it, or it could just be a piece of moon bedrock. I still think it's aliens because aliens are smart, and I believe that they also helped build the first ones that were here, that were found in Africa, and there are even some around England and in jungles and stuff, and I think they helped the ancient people and instructed them to build them. What do you think, Neil?
The alien theory sounds good to me.
Does it?
I mean, the ancient peoples could have built them, but...
I think the ancient people did build them, but I think they had help from extraterrestrials.
It's a possibility.
I think they helped guide them and showed them how to build them. Moving on in topics, we have a few famous celebrity deaths that happened on the 2nd of February. And the first one we have is George Abbott. He was an English writer. And then we have Dick James, who was the Beatles producer. And James G. McDonald, which was the original actor for Mickey Mouse.
Also on the line of deaths, we have this topic. Pillow fight.
How does that relate with death?
5,840 people with pillow-related injuries checked into a U.S. emergency room in 1992.
Did any of them die? Because that would be very intense to die from a pillow.
I don't know.
Like having a really intense pillow fight and weighing you in the head too hard or something. That'd be bad.
And did you know that, pillows aside, vending machines kill more humans than sharks per year?
I mean, more people probably go to a soda machine than sharks. I believe it.
Consumer Product Safety Commission states that from 1978 to 1995, a total of 37 Americans were killed by falling vending machines, which means over 2 deaths per year by vending machine.
What do they do? Get their arms stuck up in it and just can't get out and it crushes them, or what?
I mean, it sounds logical to me. Windstorms, maybe. But the arm
that'd be a hell of a windstorm.
Of course, people knock into the vending machines all the time trying to get whenever the food or the drink gets stuck. They slam into the vending machines or shake them and try to knock them over and knock that thing loose.
I have never done that. Have you?
None of my stuff has ever got stuck in
Me either, that's what I'm saying.
This English man says, quote, "I thought it was your standard kit. You have your plunger, your toilet brush, and your poop knife."
Poop knife?
Yeah. What it is a story on Reddit. And it's a true story. As far as I can tell, it's a true story. And it starts off with, "It's been a day or two between poops. The man is at his friend's home. I excuse myself to lay a gigantic turd, says the man. The turd he laid, apparently, turned sideways in the toilet. So he yelled for his friend.
Looks like a man.
And his friend went to the bathroom where he was, doing his business.
Yeah.
And he asked his friend for his poop knife. His confused friend asked, "What the fuck is a poop knife?"
Right. I would too, probably.
And the guy thinks, well, maybe this guy has a more delicate name for it. Maybe a fecal cleaver.
Oh my god.
A dung divider.
A what?
A dung divider.
Dung? Like dung beetle?
Yep, like
oh
dung.
Oh my god.
Or a guano galive.
Guano?
Batshit.
Well, I think he needs to call that because he batshit crazy.
And the friend and all the guests at his friend's house start laughing because the door was cracked open enough to where everyone could hear what he was saying.
Oh, God. That would have been embarrassing.
And it turns out, none of them had a poop knife either.
So he was like the only one out of all his friends that had a poop knife. What do you use a poop knife for? Do you stick it up in there and pry it out? Or what do you do? What?
The man writes, "My whole family poops big. Maybe it's
Poops
genetic.
Big.
Maybe it's genetic. Maybe it's our diets. But everyone births gigantic logs of crap. If anyone has laid a mega poop, you know that sometimes it won't flush.
I never have that problem.
And you sit and watch it as it's turned sideways. And watch the water swirl around it teasingly." What this guy writes on Reddit.
Do you ever have that problem?
Nope.
I don't either. I feel sorry for this guy.
But what a poop knife is an old rusty kitchen knife. And it's used just for that one purpose.
Okay.
But the story gets worse. As an adult, this man now has a poop knife in his home. And his wife did not know the purpose of this poop knife. And she didn't even know it was a poop knife. She just thought it was a rusty old utility knife.
Oh, God.
Luckily, she only opened Amazon boxes with it.
So she didn't cook with it?
No.
That's a good side of the story. Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, it could have got worse. She could have cooked with it. She could have sent it to her mom to cook with. I don't know why her mom wouldn't have a kitchen knife, but,
Well, she might need a new one.
Uh,
So I'm sitting here looking at our thing, these blue things that show our voice. Earlier when I said, it looks like a man, I was talking about these little blue things that shows what our voice looks like. Mm-hmm. You talked and it looked like a little man popped up on the screen. Yeah, that was pretty funny. But I think the lady in my next story needs a poop knife. Okay. So this happened in 2007 to a man named Liam Smith. And he is a postgraduate student living in Bristol. Mm-hmm. And one day he decided that he wanted a mate, so he went on Tinder. So he met this really lovely young lady whose name he did not mention, and when you hear the end of the story, you will understand why. So they decided to go get some food. They went on a date, and they ended up back at his house to listen to some music and chill, mm-hmm. the way dates go. Yeah. Well, they got there, and, when you go out to eat at certain places, you need to take a big dump afterwards. That just happens. Yeah. So she gets there, and she excuses herself to the facilities, and she was in there, and she's in there for a little bit, he said, and she came out, and she had this really concerned look on her face. And he's kind of looking at her, and she goes, "I really need to tell you something." And he goes, "Well, what?" And she says, "I had to take a poo in your toilet, and it wouldn't flush."
Oh, damn.
I don't know why I did this, but I panicked. I reached into the bowl, I wrapped it in tissue, and threw it out the window.
Oh, my God.
But in fact, the story gets a little worse than that.
It's already like a poopery commercial.
I know, but in fact, the story gets a little worse. He tells her to go out to the garden and pick it up out of the poo up out of the garden and with a plastic bag and throw it in the trash bin. Well, that's not how the layout of his house happened to be. He went out there to help her find it. I don't know why he would have did that, or that's just kind of gross. She should have knew where she threw it. But she had never been to his house before, so I guess that would be why he would go help her. But it turns out that it was not facing the garden. His bathroom was, in fact, not facing the garden. It was facing this little, alleyway. Mm-hmm. And when she threw the poop, it got stuck. He had this window, it was like the frosted glass. It was like a double window thing. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the outside one doesn't open. She panics and thought that it did, so all she did was open the front window, and it got stuck in between the two windows. And it was down at the bottom. And I will insert the pictures here if I can in the video that we're making here. If I can, I will insert these pictures. But then she got in there and they were talking, trying to figure out how to get it out of there. And she was like, well, I'm a gymnast. Maybe I can climb and get my arm down in there and try to get it out. Mm-hmm. Using the plastic bag as a glove method and just turn it inside out. And he goes, okay, you can try that. Well, she did. And she ended up getting her arm stuck to the point they had to call 911 to get her in the poop out of the window.
That's a hard one to explain to the cops.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, man. People get so crazy with their poop. Why can't you just lay it and flush it?
I'm just wondering, did he not have a plunger?
If it's too big for the toilet, you can always use the Homer Chandler method.
What is that?
You can go out in the backyard and dig a hole. Fill said hole with your fecal matter and bury it.
Please don't tell me he did that.
He did that. He pulls a tarp over himself.
Okay. Well, we're not going to explain who that is, but let's just say somebody that we both know. You have any more stories?
Nope.
That was it? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that brings us to the last topic of today. This is a lot shorter podcast than we had last time. But this day in NASA history, in 1967, the U.S. Air Force satellite KH-7-36 was launched. And it's like a satellite that takes pictures up in space. And today, on the 2nd of February 2018, NASA's Applied Sciences Advisory Committee team is meeting in Washington, D.C.
So have a good weekend and keep your eye on the sky.
And don't throw your poop out the window.
Good night, Planet Earth.